It is another edition of the Indulgent Islander podcast. Tim Wood, your humble host, alongside the man, the myth, the legend himself, the Indulgent Islander, at Eat HHI on Instagram. It's one Nick DeSimone. How are you?
I'm doing well today, man. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Uh, I I honestly I keep going back to one of your posts about South Carolina weather.
Yeah,
Just like yesterday I was literally outside thinking of that post because it was 80 earlier in the day, and then when I went outside it was literally like 51 degrees. You know, Jake wanted me to come out and shoot, and I'm like, "What
yeah,
happened?" But
yeah.
at least it's not snowing, so
Got the
life
hoodie
is
back
good.
on today. Yeah, exactly.
Good day to have a good day, right? So,
That's it.
so another edition of the podcast. We want to thank everybody for the views, the likes, the follows, the voting on our poll. Um, we continue to take strides, we continue to be on new platforms and give all of you new ways to see us and listen to us. So very thankful to all of the feedback and all the views this week. Um, Italian was an interesting topic, and it definitely, I think the core list people definitely embraced, but there's a couple there's a couple that folks wanted to see on there, and for good reason. You can only have uh we only do 5 or 6 each week, so it's hard to narrow it down, right?
Yeah, I mean, like we've been saying from the beginning, over time, I think everyone is going to get their just due, is going to get their mentions. I mean, in the interest of time, and it's funny that I say that because we've been running, upwards and over 2 hours on these, which, you know, I know they can tend to run a little long, but just like you said, if the content's there and the conversation's flowing, there's no reason to cut it short. But, it's going to be challenging to, even on a 2 hour podcast where we're hitting, a half a dozen or so restaurants, food and bev businesses, it's it's always going to be limiting in terms of getting everyone a mention. And it was almost immediately after we stopped recording last week, and I was like, oh, I forgot, so and so, and we'll get into that. But I think it's healthy to start the conversation, um, and I think that, you know, if anything, like you've been saying from the very beginning, the conversation's fluid. The discussion. This is a dynamic thing, and it's not, a ranking system. It's not like a playoff. What teams made the playoff type of
Bracket, yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just a conversation that's constantly evolving, and if we revisited one of these categories 3 to 6 months down the road, we might have a couple might be the same, a couple might be different. It's also what's top of mind and what's what we're seeing and hearing and what people are talking about. And I think even though we have our opinions, I think it's also important to have a finger on the pulse, as they say, of what people are feeling and what places are kind of, it's an ebb and flow type of situation as far as what's out there.
I love when anybody chimes in with their thoughts, but I especially love when uh fellow foodies that I know are like diehard foodies and trust their opinions chime in. And Kevin Fitzpatrick, he's been watching and listening since the first episode. He's a retired teacher, and loves it here in the low country, loves the cuisine down here, and has actually started doing a column for the Bluffton Sun. um and he chimed in saying, agree with the list, that he would add Bricko, and Bricko was certainly one of the folks one of the places that um, we discussed in terms of, that we haven't been to as much, but that was definitely in the discussion. I know you had another one that you kind of right after we stopped recording, you're like, forgot that one.
Yeah, Brico's definitely on my short list. I have not had the opportunity to go there yet, but I think I might have mentioned previously that, or actually, I think I mentioned in the comment responding to him that I've heard nothing but good things, and I
Yes.
definitely want to get out there soon. And the other one that popped into my head, almost immediately after we stopped recording, with respect to the Italian restaurant category, was Cafe Al Dente. Um, when I originally put together these lists, when you and I were planning going back several months ago, um, it wasn't really on my mind because it was a newer restaurant, and between then and now, I got the opportunity to meet Damien, the owner over there, and you know that's I had the opportunity to actually do an interview with him at their new takeout kitchen, um, behind locals only tap room. And not only did I have dinner there and did I get to enjoy some of the takeout kitchen items, uh, when I went out there that day, but like I said, it just wasn't in my mind when I originally put together this list. But as soon as we finished recording, I was like, oh, dang, I forgot, Cafe Al Dente, because I really, from that very first dinner that I enjoyed with my wife and my parents, I really enjoyed, some of those classic Italian dishes. And I think that, a takeout kitchen where you can, similar to what we discussed last week with Pomodori 2 here in Bluffton, where you can order, individual entrees for $20, or you can get, a family meal serving 4 to 6 people, where you get, a half a tray of one category, a half a tray of another category. You get to throw a salad in there, all for $100. I mean, it's really, really good stuff. And, I do plan to get back out there soon for lunch, because there's a couple of things on there, like the chicken parm sandwich and their dip sandwich with braised beef and jardiniere with the au jus. There's just some really good stuff, in addition to the pastas and traditional Italian stuff and salads and things like that are really, really tasty. And, I definitely wanted to get a mention for them. And,
And
even
they're
after
coming.
that,
They're coming to us. They're coming to New Riverside here pretty quick in the spring.
I completely forgot about that. I'm glad that you
Yeah,
mentioned that. You're right.
yeah,
Yeah,
buddy.
that's awesome.
So they're gonna make it even easier on us. Almost too
Absolutely.
easy.
Yeah. Yeah, right down the road from both of us.
Dude, that whole area between Flatbread and Frosty Frog and Local Pie and Cafe Al Dente and um I know I'm forgetting a couple, but that's gonna be a calorie heaven over there. It's gonna be little foodie oasis right there in the outer skirts of Bluffton. It's gonna be awesome.
You and I are going to have a lot more options when we want to meet for lunch. We
Yeah.
won't have to go very far.
Um, a couple others that were mentioned in. Let me pull up the poll here. Uh, some folks mentioned Dolce Vita. Gusto was mentioned. Stellini's, Nona Rosa, um, Bella Italia. We talked about Bella Italia for pizza, obviously, but it certainly makes sense on the Italian side. So appreciate all of the feedback and the input, and uh, keep the votes coming this week when we as we unveil our next list for sure. Couple other things, just in terms of new restaurants. I noticed a couple yesterday. Omelet Cafe is coming to Okatee, and where Parlor Donuts is going, uh, across from Food Lion. And then I also saw, and hat tip to Joe, Joe Gancio. from Joe's Classic Cuts. He posted about Nosh New York bagels coming to Riverwalk. So they've put up their sign. So uh, that should be interesting. I think, and I'm pretty sure it's the same folks that were out on 315 in Levy, the one stop shop, uh, and they were bringing in New York bagels. I'm pretty sure it's the same people. I
What's
need to.
315 in Levy?
Um, yeah, out on the way to Savannah,
Oh, okay.
the back road there to 17. Um, it's like there's a car like Palmetto Motors or something right there, and then there's a gas station and the Pink Pig and um
Oh, Don Machete and those couple of things.
exactly,
Cool.
exactly. So there used to be a spot there, a bakery, and they had they imported New York bagels, and I'm not sure. I need to do some homework between now and next week, and I will get a definitive answer for next week's podcast. But I've seen a couple folks mention that it might be the same people, so I need to reach out and see there. But anytime you put New York bagels on the sign, um, you're creating an expectation for sure. So be interesting.
I mean, absolutely. And it got a lot of chatter going, positively and unfortunately negative as it always does when you're talking about, I missed this or that from home. We've talked about that before. I connected with the owners actually on social media, and they're going to kind of give me a heads up when they're getting closer to being ready to open up. Was actually a friend of mine whose name escapes me at the moment, said that she knew the people that were planning on opening that up. I actually just saw it today because I had to go over to Palmetto Animal League to get a shot for the new kitten that we adopted
Yep, yep,
a couple of weeks ago. And like you said, it's getting interesting. Things are coming along over there between Ralphie's and now you have that new Agave Azul,
yep.
right in that same neighborhood. Um, and Nosh Bagels coming soon. You have Kira over there. So there's quite a few options. That was sad to see River Dog closed down. I know they had their last day over this past weekend, so that was a bummer. But like we've been saying all along, with every ending and with every chapter coming to a close, there are new opportunities and new businesses that are going to pop up. So I will certainly be ready to go over to Notch Bagels and get a bagel sandwich, breakfast sandwich as soon as I possibly can. You know, Pretty quick trip right down 170 from where you and I are, and looking forward to that addition.
Absolutely. I honestly, I'm stupid that way. Whenever I see a new storefront sign go up, it's like Christmas morning. I'm like giddy whenever I see a new sign go up, just because I love seeing people chase the dream. And
Absolutely.
so we'll have some options now. You're gonna have Island Bagels on Buckwalter, going into the old
Bojangles.
Bojangles,
Yep.
and we'll have this down in Riverwalk. So yeah, it's getting interesting. Another breakfast option for omelet's great. I was actually there on Sunday with Coach Tony Bruin, and omelet's a kind of a spot that is a little underappreciated in the Fuller mix, but they're open on Sundays where Squad isn't. So, um, Sunday was the only day we could get together. So, and it was delicious as always. So, it should be
Solid
interesting to see
breakfast
the new
place.
one. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, yes, they do breakfast and lunch. So, um, I just, I see these new businesses open, and it's not even like we're giving plugs. Yeah, I don't see that as plugs. Like it's the same way what we're doing with just talking these lists. We're advocating for just people to get out and eat local, try local, buy local, the whole shebang.
awareness, you know, to get exposure. There's people that spend a lot of time on social media, like myself and yourself, keeping an eye out for announcements and things like that. Um, and then there's some that either don't have social media or they just don't pay attention to it that much. And, you know, that's what we're here for, is to help spread the word, to our community about these new businesses or existing businesses that are expanding, which is also very exciting, when they go from one location to two and three locations. So that's all part of our mission here with the Indulgent Islander, is to increase awareness, to get more exposure, to promote these restaurants. And as we've repeated multiple times, these are not paid promotions. These are just a couple of foodies and people that like to celebrate all of these different businesses and spread the word so that, you know, our followers and friends and, all these people in our community can enjoy all these amazing options that we just increasingly and increasingly have more and more access to.
So we're talking comfort food this week, and it's actually again with the weather, it's an interesting time to be talking about it as the temperatures dip back into wintry levels. I feel like I want some comfort food this week, so uh, good timing on the list. Um, where do you want to start with comfort food? And by the way, what do you define as comfort food?
It's interesting because the area that we live in, you know, this southeast region of the country, I feel like a lot of people identify South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, and some of those states a little further west. I feel like it's an all-encompassing category for a lot of the food that is, you know, specific to this particular region. Um, we're going to touch on really a wide spectrum. So, it's hard to give it a very specific definition, but I think it's cuisine that has roots in this area, or areas not too far from us. And I think it's
But it also just makes you. It's the type of food that kind of feels like a hug, kind of invokes memories of dinners around the kitchen table with your family. That's kind of what I. And when you're 1,000% correct in terms of like there there's a different definition here in terms of comfort food. Um, Lowcountry boil is comfort food here. So like shrimp and grits is comfort food here, whereas that like seafood isn't really in the mix as much per se in like the Northeast, the Midwest, whereas seafood is more a comfort food here, more comfort food out west. you know um and boy, we've got some places that do it right.
absolutely, like I said, we're going to run the full spectrum of what we consider comfort food to be. And
What's
I
your
agree with you.
favorite? What's your favorite comfort food dish? I'm not talking about these restaurants. I'm just talking about comfort food in general. What just makes you smile on a bland day? The comfort food that you want most.
I would have to say, even though we already covered it last week, being of Italian heritage, descendancy, whatever you want to call it, nothing to me is comfort food more than, a bowl of pasta. Ironically, I actually just posted yesterday a photo of a really simple dish that my mother made for many years when I was growing up. And it's just macaroni, like a ditalini pasta or elbow macaroni, with sweet baby peas and sauteed onions. I whipped up some of that Sunday for the Super Bowl. We had some other
Is that the mac and peas?
type stuff that we had from the main course or the main attraction for what we enjoyed for the Super Bowl. And there's a similar dish that she does. Um,
So that was the mac
Not
and peas
pasta
dish, right?
fagioli. Yeah, that was the mac
Okay,
and peas. And then there's
yeah,
a
I was
similar
gonna
one that we
just
call,
pulling that
yeah, there
up.
you go. Nice. There's a similar thing that we call pasta vazul, which is
Oh
very
yeah,
similar to the pasta fagioli, which is essentially the same thing with, cannellini beans and more of a lighter tomato based sauce. That's something very similar to that. So for me, like I said, it's something similar to that where it's a pasta, some beans, peas, some sort of vegetables in there, some Parmesan cheese, just something that warms the insides, like you said, on a chilly day like today. Chili, is another one that I would say my wife
yeah.
is very good at whipping up a bowl of chili, whether it's with ground beef or sometimes we'll do a white like chicken chili with white beans and Swiss chard and things like that. I
Oh,
would
now
say
we're going
that to
down a
me
whole
is
different rabbit hole, man. Now we're going down. You mentioned chicken chili. Now we're going now a different rabbit hole for a different episode. Like, what is chili? Chicken
we could
chili.
do right. We could do a
Nick,
couple hours
chicken
just on
chili?
chili alone. That's a good one.
Chicken chili?
So yeah, well, I think we should start with being that,
Yeah.
being that we're
I'm
here.
sorry. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
That's
I got you
that's an
all. I got you all
affront.
fired up with the chicken
Oh
chili.
God, it's an affront. It's like I've judged and I've been out and I've been part of the chili cook off out on the island, and boy, yeah, I don't know if it's why they didn't invite me back, but I'm very opinionated about chili, and like I'm a middle of the road guy. Like, don't put wine in my chili. Don't put chicken, turkey. Okay, healthier. Can't argue that. But okay, different rabbit hole, different episode. I apologize. Um, Meatloaf for me is my comfort food. That's like my mom's recipe and like the one thing that I wanted when she passed was the mixing bowl that her and I used to mix up the meatloaf in. That and my sister's like, jewelry and this and that, and I'm like, give me the mixing bowl. I mean, because that's comfort food to me. And I'm Irish, so some shepherd's pie, definitely definitely on the comfort side for me. But um, let's get into your list here. Where do you want to
Yeah,
start?
meatloaf is the perfect segue because, like I said, why not start with the Low Country and a restaurant that has Low Country in its name and also has a pretty darn good meatloaf, in my opinion. And that's a Low Country backyard restaurant on Palmetto Bay Road on Hilton Head Island. Um, as I've mentioned many, many times, my experience in Hilton Head and Bluffton started many years ago as a tourist, as a traveler, as a vacationer, an annual vacationer, and you know around the period of time when I started to kind of have a little bit more of a, I don't want to call it sophisticated palate, but becoming more of a foodie. Low Country Backyard really shot to the top of the list as far as you know. It got to a point where when we would roll into town to start the week of vacation, you know, we would typically go to Low Country Backyard like the very first day for lunch once we got into town. Um, they don't take reservations there. It's a lunch and dinner spot. done an amazing job with the space since they expanded um, a couple of years ago into an adjacent spot there in that shopping center. And when you're talking about comfort food, I mean, if you had a checklist, meatloaf would be on it. I think some people might include burgers on that list. They got a couple different burgers. For me, the shrimp burger is what does it. Um, but you get into the category where they call low country favorites. Tim, you mentioned low country boil as being a comfort food. You can get a low country boil at Low Country Backyard. You can get it for two people. You can get an order for one. They have the potato chip meatloaf, shrimp and wild mushroom cobbler, which is one of my absolute favorites. Um, I've also
I
really
was
enjoyed
trying to find the potato chip meatloaf. I could not find a picture of that on
a
there.
photo of it.
Yeah, but
Yeah, it's
it is
probably
special.
not one of their more like popular dishes in terms of one that just gets ordered as much as some of these other ones because really, it's a hit parade as you go down the list. Seafood perlou over the red rice is another one with the sauteed shrimp and smoked sausage. Um, there you got a nice pecan encrusted grouper. They circulate through, today's catch, which you can get, grilled, blackened. Um, you can get a lot of times the fresh catch you can get on a sandwich. Um, I think another thing that we're going to be mentioning several times today is going to be there. You see another one of the fishes, which is the blackened corvina. I've actually had that; it's delicious. Um, but when we're talking about comfort food, we're going to probably mention, like we said multiple times today, we'll mention fried chicken, and that's another one that I think is a really good one that they have, which is marinated chicken breast. They call it the bischick. Marinated chicken breast, lightly breaded and fried over a homemade biscuit, topped with low country gravy. I mean, all of these that I mentioned, and they have some salads and some other sandwiches and things like that, fried green tomatoes, mac and cheese. All of these things that I mentioned are certainly well within that category of comfort food. Um, and I probably forgot the most well known, famous one, which is you mentioned before shrimp and grits. They were actually voted number one in South Carolina for shrimp and grits, and in addition to it being one of the best shrimp and grits in the world, believe it or not. So I can't say enough good things about a low country backyard. The atmosphere, whether you sit inside or outside, the outside patio is really nice. It's covered, which is cool, so you're protected from the elements. Sometimes they'll have some live music out there. Um, since they added the bar, they do have drinks, so you can get cocktails there. Um, I personally, I celebrate that sweet tea that they have there. Specifically with an Arnold Palmer. I like to go unsweet tea and lemonade, but the sweet tea at a Low Country Backyard is delicious. It's one of those places where I have a really difficult time when I do go there choosing what I want to eat because there are so many really good, regulars on the menu, and then they'll throw in a special or two to really make my head spin, and it makes it a really difficult decision, um, what to get.
I mean, I like you said, I feel like the inside from the jump just felt like uh sitting down for a family meal. Like it just it had comfort. That just the feel of the restaurant has comfort written all over it, and they managed to do the same thing in the back with the expansion. They really did. They have some longer tables, and they've got a nice setup for music, and um it's a nice little party in the back there too, for sure.
Absolutely. I think you hit the nail on the head right there. It's a family atmosphere. That's where I usually see when I go. I mean, you might see a couple or something like that having lunch or dinner, but a lot of times you see groups of 6, 7, 8 or more people, congregating. The service is super friendly, exactly what you would expect from a low country southern style restaurant. um, it actually says right here on the menu, which I think is kind of cool. It mentions southern hospitality and whimsical ambiance, but I think really where they get it perfect is a rite of passage for all who visit the island. And I can't put it more eloquently than that. If you've come to Hilton Head and you have not had the chance to enjoy a low country backyard, you may wait a little bit depending on, we used to try to get there like literally right when they opened so that we could, get a table relatively quickly. Like I said, it was always the first day, sort of our vacation before checking into our rental or our timeshare for the week. Um, I love this place, and I've never been disappointed with what I've ultimately, decided on off this menu. It's all
I
incredible.
and I love that they lean into the identity of comfort food. Like comfort food, I'm not gonna say it's gotten a bad shake, but a lot, the last maybe 10, 15 years, comfort food has this feel of being heavy and uh you know weight inducing and just like just gotten a little bit of a bad rap and isn't as trendy per se, in terms of in terms of the newer trends in eating and restaurants opening. um Look, these guys have always leaned in to the comfort food identity, and they show with whether it's the main menu or the specials every night. They show that comfort food isn't just like these like stayed old recipes. um there's they're constantly trying new stuff, and it always has this sort of, I don't know, like a hug from grandma sort of feel to it when you get into it.
Absolutely. Another word that they use that I think a lot of times it's used interchangeably with comfort food is soul food, and they make a mention of that too. And I think that's what you're talking about, where it where it really touches the soul. It's like a warm, inviting hug, and it doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be um, heavy, a heavy dish.
Hmm.
That to give you that feeling and that emotion. We talk about dining as an experience and the feelings and emotions that it elicits. And I think nothing, you know, personifies that more than a low country backyard.
Where do you want to go next?
I would say from there, we can transition to another sort of southern type of cuisine. This is going to be, we're actually going to go out west a little bit. We're going to go to Cajun food or Cajun influenced cuisine. And with that, we're going to take it over to Pennington Drive, back in the shopping center over behind the DMV off Sheridan Park, to River Road Cafe. Breakfast, brunch, lunch. This is Cajun Creole inspired cuisine. I would say I stumbled upon this actually. I had not known about River Road before we moved here almost 4 years ago. And we were actually going through the process of getting our license and our license plates and our cards registered at the Department of Motor Vehicles. and I was just looking for a place that was right nearby where we could go, pick up something to eat while we waited for our place in line. And I stumbled upon River Road Cafe, and I was immediately blown away. Um, I'm gonna table the breakfast part of the conversation for now, although there are some really good ones on there. And um, specifically, they have a breakfast sandwich with spicy sausage, ham, and American and Swiss cheese. They call it the Big Porker, that I think is spectacular. They really hit on a lot of the high notes when it comes to, chicken and waffles, country fried steak, catfish, and grits. But what I would like to focus on is the lunch, the brunch and lunch type of things that they have. Um, po' boys, you know, po' boys and things, they call this section. Pretty much any po' boy that you could possibly want. You can get the roast beef. You can get the big porker, like I said before, with the sausage patty. You got a cheeseburger po' boy there, which is another good one on the long roll. Ham and cheese, fried catfish, fried oyster, fried shrimp, buffalo shrimp. I mean, if you are a sandwich person like I am, and I know you are, a po' boy is a sandwich that is very uniquely Southern. Um, you know, piled on with the lettuce, the tomato, mayo. If you're a mayo person, um, you get a pickle and some fries on the side. I mean, River Road is it's really anything that you could possibly want from a restaurant that offers Cajun and Creole influenced dishes.
It's yeah, the po' boys are amazing. It, I felt guilty. I'm not gonna lie. I felt guilty going to River Road Cafe when they first opened because I heard about it. I heard about the buzz right away. I mean, they took over, and maybe you can help me. I'm blanking on it. Uh, that used to be there before River Road Cafe. Um,
That's before my time.
yeah, and I know, if I can't come with up with it before the end of the broadcast, somebody will. Oh no, walnuts.
Okay.
Blanking. Walnuts. Walnuts was a great breakfast spot, and River Road Cafe opened there, and I felt guilty because it's it's New Orleans, it's Cajun food, um, and you know, I will openly admit to being friends, and it started out as just a food relationship. It became friends with Kenny Ballard and the Ballard family with Kenny B's. They were out on the south end of Hilton Head, and it was, especially during the summer, it was like a tough trip. And so like River Road Cafe opened, and it was like, wow, wow, like this jambalaya, this let me see if I can get the picture. Yeah, here we go. The sausage and chicken jambalaya is just mouth watering and just spot on. It just, oh yeah, makes me dream of it right now. And then their catfish. This is a picture of the catfish over crawfish cream sauce. I'm a big catfish guy, and they just absolutely nail it. It feels like it's just right out of the ocean, and the breading isn't too heavy. It's just, and that sauce, is, they put this crawfish cream sauce on a couple different dishes, and it's spectacular. So I mean, they do so many, and it's not purely that like you said, they have breakfast, they have some more traditional dishes. They do a nice pulled pork sandwich that I'm putting up right now with sweet potato fries, which again, the sweet potato fries, all their fries are outstanding. Um, But yeah, the po' boy, all of the Cajun stuff is just they nail it. They just nail it. It feels like I just got into New Orleans. You know.
Absolutely. And I'm not going to lie, I was pretty jealous, with all the content that I enjoyed last week with between Barstool and everything else football centric with the Super Bowl. I
All
was
the folks down
definitely,
there, right?
yeah, I was feeling
Yeah.
a lot of promo with all the New
Yep.
Orleans cuisine that everybody was enjoying.
And
I
the
didn't
Sugar
even
Bowl before
mention,
that. Yeah.
right, yeah, I didn't even mention, um, a couple of what really are my favorites that almost without fail, I try to enjoy every time I go there, specifically around lunchtime. I'm a big soup person.
Yeah.
The chicken and andouille gumbo
Oh
at
yeah.
River Road Cafe is spectacular. As good as that is, my favorite soup is the shrimp and corn soup. It's
Really?
almost like a shrimp and corn chowder that they have. I can't even begin to tell you how much I love that soup. A nice hearty, speaking of comfort food, I mean, a nice hearty bowl of shrimp and corn soup. The one thing that has eluded me is something that they do from time to time as a special, which is it's kind of like the white whale, not to use another Seinfeld reference, but the crawfish etouffee. I've seen a picture of it and I've heard about it. You mentioned crawfish because they use it as a sauce on that catfish dish. I am a huge crawfish fan, and that is one of the dishes in Bluffton that has eluded me to date. They're not very active with social media, and
No.
that's one of the things that I kind of wish, and I have actually mentioned to the owner, because that's something that would certainly drive for someone like myself, excuse me, that keeps an eye out for specials and things like that being advertised. If I saw that they were offering that crawfish etouffee at River Road, I would run, not walk, to go get it. Um, and even an under the radar type of thing, they have a spinach salad that I really enjoy as well. Um, that has hard boiled eggs, some bacon bits, some shredded cheese. Excuse me. That's another one. It's actually called the River Road salad. Parmesan, poppy seed dressing, and you can add grilled chicken and fried or sautéed shrimp to that. I like their buffalo shrimp, so I'll usually get the salad by itself without adding a protein to it. But
Hey Nick.
oh boy, that's it. That's the shrimp. That's the shrimp chowder right there.
That's the crawfish etouffee.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I apologize. That's the
Yeah, yeah.
etouffee. I'm sorry. It
Yep.
looks very similar in color to the to that chowder. But yeah, you're making me drool because, like I said, that's been one of those that I have not had the chance to enjoy yet. And they do a Cajun crawfish omelet with the breakfast. Excuse me, but that crawfish etouffee, I can't wait till I can enjoy that River Road Cafe. Hopefully they'll be on special again sometime soon.
And we're gonna talk when we finish here, because yeah, the social media, they don't have a website. We're gonna I'm gonna make a visit there, because yeah, they people more people need to know about them, and it's because you're just not gonna get a bad dish there. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna say I've tried, but like you just go to certain places and you're like, okay, law of averages, sometime this has to suck or be less than great. And it's just never been that way at River Road. And I think that's what, and I think when we talk about what differentiates these lists, or we're not ranking them, but these places stand out for that very reason. They're just not getting a substandard subs on the food, on the customer service, and River Road is definitely I'm so glad when I saw your rankings when putting together the photos and stuff. I was so glad you had it on here. It's like one of those that you could very easily forget because they're not in front of your face every day on social media.
Yeah, I mean, when we're talking about the mission being to get more exposure to the restaurants that deserve it, that's the bucket that River Road Cafe definitely belongs in. You know, I wish more people knew about it, and we're going to do our part to get the word out there for them. You know, every time I go there, I try to share what I'm enjoying. I don't go out to breakfast a lot, but I want to get back there soon to enjoy more of that breakfast. And like I said, as soon as I get wind of there being that etouffee, I'm certainly going to get back out there. They never
This is
miss, and
another
they
dish
deserve more
that
attention.
this is another dish that's more of a special, but it's crawfish Monica, and they do the same thing. It's a penne, but it has that crawfish cream sauce on it. Um, I highly recommend that. I'm I'm funny with crawfish. I'm not a like huge fan of it all by itself, but like in an etouffee or on a cream sauce, it's like perfect flavor. So
Yeah, I mean, a pasta with a cream sauce with crawfish. I mean, that's got comfort food written all over it, right?
for sure, for
I mean, it
sure.
typifies the category that we're covering today.
Great pick there for sure. What is next on your list?
Let's go to, we like to use the term and not more frequently than necessary, institution, right? That's going to take us to Cahills Market and Chicken Kitchen on May River Road in Bluffton. Where do we
Yeah.
begin on Cahills, Tim?
Uh, I just what I love about in Cahill's Market by itself is an institution, and the farm is I go there when I'm cooking. I go there to get all my fresh ingredients. And but then they got into the chicken kitchen. Okay, then they expanded, they started making and at first it was very focused on chicken, Leslie the chicken kitchen. They don't use that moniker anymore because boy have they expanded. And it what I love about it is every dish on the menu just encompasses the Cahills. It's not out of their lane. It's right what you would expect from them, including using a lot of the fresh ingredients from their farm out back. And it's just again, hug from grandma. I mean, it's one of those spots I can't go to too often because it's the calories are up there, but the the taste is amazing.
I agree. I mean, I think anybody would say, and this is not a slight at all, I think anybody would say that they can't make um, Cahill's a frequent visit because, I mean, let's be real. If you ate at Cahill's 5, 6, 7 days a week, you'd probably
And
be
you
on the
didn't
list
like to
for,
exercise, yeah.
yeah, you'd probably be on the list for a triple bypass or a heart
Yeah.
transplant. Um, Another one, never really got to experience it. I always would notice it coming back and forth from the airport, coming into town as a tourist. When I moved here, it was, I mean, I think one of the very first days that we were here, I think we ordered, because we had movers and everything like that. I think we ordered um, takeout or delivery from Cahill's, um, a couple of fried chicken sandwiches. We didn't get too crazy into what we were getting that particular day, but I mean, ever since then, um, whether it's breakfast, whether it's passing by, if I have a long day ahead of me, specifically on a weekday, and I can get my hands on the oversized biscuit breakfast sandwich, which they only do the oversized biscuits on weekdays. On the weekends, you can still get biscuits, but they're the normal sized ones. Um, Cahills, I'll be honest, and this is not, I'm not being negative. I'm overwhelmed when I go to Cahills
Yes.
because you
Yep.
go there, it's late morning, early afternoon. I'm pretty sure you can get the breakfast stuff all day, correct?
Yep. Yeah.
So you sit down and you're given the breakfast menu, which is, I mean, I'm scrolling through it here. I just keep scrolling and scrolling, between, you know,
I mean,
breakfast
the chicken
plate,
and waffles. The yeah, the bread, the biscuits. The steak and eggs, which I'll throw up a picture of. Is Let's see here. There's the steak and eggs.
steak
Um,
and hash and eggs,
yeah.
huevos rancheros. You mentioned chicken and waffles. I mean, it's a hit parade. It's one after the other. Fried pork chop, you know, El Cabron, a flour tortilla burrito with eggs, cheese, sausage, sour cream, avocado. And then you get into like these creative ones with they call them the handles, where you're doing, love handle, which is a butterflied buttermilk marinated fried chicken breast on top of a biscuit, drowned in the sausage gravy. You can get the same thing, which is my favorite, which is the Diablo, where it's a spicy fried chicken breast on top of the biscuit with the sausage gravy. They throw a deep fried jalapeno pepper on the side. I love how you can get a lot of this stuff and you can get a spicy version. You can get Benedict's. You can get, I mentioned the giant breakfast biscuits. I mean, and this is just the breakfast
That's just
menu.
breakfast. Yeah.
And then it's like now you say, okay, let me take a look at the daily menu, and
Mm-hmm.
that's where you got your fried okra, your squash sticks, bacon deviled eggs, and then you get into all of your fried chicken meals. What do you got there? I think that's a meatloaf
Meatloaf
sandwich.
sandwich.
We talked about
Meatloaf
meatloaf
sandwich.
before. I mean,
Yeah.
comfort food for sure, right?
I mentioned this off air to you, but like lunch lady, a meatloaf is one of those dishes that I don't because it's just so personal. It's one of those dishes I don't order out a lot. And lunch lady, over in Riverwalk, they've since closed and they're doing a food truck and catering now.
Yes,
Um, they were my go-to there. Pretty much the only place I would eat meatloaf. And then I tried it at K because people were like, "Don't be stupid. You got to try it at Cahills." And I did, and I'm like, "Okay, okay, yep, all right. I got another spot I'll eat meatloaf at, and it will just feel like it came right out of my mom's oven."
absolutely.
It's just and this oh wait, no, not that one. Not that one. Chick. No, damn it. Sorry. Where'd it go?
Okay.
Um. Okay, I had a. Let me find it. Yes, chicken and dumplings.
Oh
That
my
was the
goodness.
picture I was looking for. It
I,
is. Go ahead.
I mentioned when we talked a couple of weeks ago, we talked about sandwiches and we talked about Southern Spice and their
Yeah.
chicken corn chowder. Same concept applies here, right? A creamy, hearty, I mean, chicken and dumplings. You're thinking super thick. Look at all that delicious pulled chicken in there. I mean, that's a Southern staple, right? Chicken and
Mm-hmm.
dumplings.
Yep.
I
And
think
they don't
another
cheat.
good,
They don't cheat you on the chicken at all. And like you said, it's not too heavy. It's got it's got just a really wonderful base to it, and it's just it's delectable.
it's just loaded with all the good stuff. And, you know, there's chicken and dumplings, you can't find a lot of places down here. I like it at Anio's, another place that has really good fried chicken. Um, we didn't even really get into, the sandwich category. I mean, they have so many of these sandwiches that are either the buttermilk marinated fried chicken. You can get a barbecue chicken sandwich that has that pulled chicken that you'll see in the chicken and dumplings with their lip smacking toe curler barbecue sauce. Um, burgers. I mean, we didn't even get into mentioning burgers. Fried bologna sandwich. They have a shrimp po' boy there as well. Every type of seafood basket you can imagine. Fried shrimp, fried catfish, fried chicken livers. I don't know if that's something that I would go for, but I'm sure someone out there would enjoy chicken livers,
Oh
chicken
yeah,
tender.
very 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 local staple for sure. So there's and they it's weird because it it doesn't look like a big menu, but it almost is like a cheesecake factory menu in just the sheer volume of choices that they're able to fit on this like flip menu.
You kind of have to have a little bit of a semblance of a plan going in,
Yeah.
right? What am I getting today? Am I getting eggs? Am I going with some fried chicken? Am I going to have a country fried steak? Like, you almost have to narrow it down and say, like, this is what I'm in the mood for today. And then that can kind of help you direct your eyes. It's funny. I know I'm crazy with this stuff, but I look at, like, reading a menu is kind of like it's like the football coach looking at his play sheet. That, like, I'll hold on to the menu even after I order, because I'll
Yeah.
be like, oh, when I got this and this today. Next time I come, I got to make sure I remember to get this and that, and that's before you even get.
I'm gonna set it up with this. I'm gonna set up the third quarter with this dish in the first quarter. I'm gonna set up the
Exactly.
next drive. Yeah,
First
it
play
is.
coming out of the second half, I'm going with the Diablo handle. The we didn't even get into sides. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm looking at all the different sides that you can get here, and you talk about Southern staples. Butter beans, black eyed peas, collards, cream corn, which is seasonal, okra and tomatoes, stewed cabbage, rutabaga. We talked about mac and cheese,
Yeah, the mac and
grit.
cheese. Wow.
Their potato roasties are a great alternative to French fries. And they got a handful. I mean, there's I'm just counting here off the top of my head, six, like 10 different items that are just vegan sides that you can get. So, like we said before, it doesn't really have to be, super heavy as far as what you're going with. I mean, they got salads, they got,
I mean, I'll
it's
definitely get,
something for everyone.
Stephanie and Robbie have really focused on variety of the menu especially with the vegan dishes as you mentioned, cuz you talk about vegans have comfort food too. you know
Absolutely.
and they did a lot of homework when they added those vegan options and uh from all accounts of my friends that I'll bring, they nailed it. They nailed it in terms of just making uh I won't say like vegans and comfort food in theory are oil and water, right? Like they shouldn't seemingly go together, but um Cahills has managed to really uh cater to cater to a group that doesn't get catered to when it comes to comfort food.
Absolutely. Have you had a chance to go since they did those recent renovations? They had closed for a couple of weeks over the winter to do some improvements inside. Have you been over there since then?
Yeah, yeah, it's nice.
Okay.
Plus they opened the outside. They created more seating outside on the left side of the market. If you're looking at it from the road, so they're constantly innovating with the menu. They're constantly innovating in terms of using that space as best they can. They're actually closed right now. We're doing this on the 11th. They're back open on Valentine's Day on the 14th. They're doing some more
Oh, okay.
rejiggering. Yeah.
I like it.
What's next on the hit list?
From there, we were talking about biscuits, right? And Southern specialties. I got to go with one of my favorites. We're going to go back over the bridge to Hilton Head Island, a newer location for them, whereas they used to be in, Dunnigan's Alley, where we said that Cafe Al Dente takeout kitchen and locals only. It's actually the space that Cafe Al Dente takeout kitchen ultimately took over. Bad Biscuit, which has been in Coligny for the last, I would say, year or two, probably, right? I mean, we're talking about comfort food, right? We mentioned shrimp and grits. We've talked about biscuits, fried chicken. I mean, going back to, I know I keep going back to the well when I say, when I was here on vacation, I could not have spend a week in Hilton Head back in the day without at least one breakfast slash brunch at Bad Biscuit. At that time it was the old location. Since then, obviously, now that they're over in Coligny, they got a little bit more space. I'm pretty sure that I read very recently that they're going to start expanding into some dinner stuff. But I mean, you got a couple of things there that are on that Bad Biscuits and brunch menu. You know, I mean, just look at these biscuits and you know, these egg sandwiches and, bowls that they do, the bomb diggity bowls, they call them. I mean, for me, I got a couple favorites personally. The Rooster biscuits and gravy is right at the top of my list. Very simple biscuit, sausage gravy, some eggs on top. I usually go with like a scrambled egg on top. I love how they have the revolving special. They call it the usual, which is, constantly changing. It could be a biscuit, it could be a bowl, something like that. I love, very similar to like a Waffle House concept. You can smother whatever you're going to get in sausage gravy, bacon gravy, mushroom cobbler. Sometimes I like to say, give me all three of them and use them as a dipper. You can stack them with shrimp, fried chicken, country fried steak, cover it with any type of cheese imaginable. Smoked Gouda jumps out, pimento cheese, house made hollandaise. I mean, I'm making myself hungry. I haven't even eaten lunch yet today. I mean, and that's not even getting into, cheesesteak, smash burger, poutine they have, which I have not gotten to try that, where they throw an over medium egg on top of it. Over medium, shout out over medium, right?
There you go.
I mean, this is a one-page menu, Tim, and I,
Yeah.
I could see like 17 things that I could order right now and be more than happy with. And that's like, they also do the take and bake biscuits, which I remember we had a holiday last year where my family, we ordered ahead, a dozen take and bake biscuits and got to enjoy them, with our holiday meal, whichever holiday that was. I can't remember. But I mean, this place is just incredible. I love how they're constantly innovating and coming up with more creative things to add to this menu.
While you were talking, I remember seeing that, and it's one of the photos I didn't pull. I remember seeing that poutine. Um, which was it's a sausage, right? It's a sausage gravy.
Uh, yes, sage sausage gravy, homemade sage sausage gravy, mouth
Yeah,
watering.
yeah, it's so good. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Let me pull that up. Yeah, sage sausage gravy. It, you know, the thing is like some poutines. If you're going just like full on Canadian, it's thick. It's curd. This is a different take on a poutine, and it's more focused on the gravy end of it, less curd, just equally delicious, just so well done.
And we talk about, catering to the more health conscious people. They have a keto bowl. Chopped steak, grilled onions, wild shrooms over medium eggs topped with American cheese and fresh hollandaise over keto toast. I mean, so I love it. Something for everyone. There's one here that I had never even noticed before under the biscuits. Pizza biscuit Urato. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Urato. Pizza biscuit Urato. An open face biscuit topped with our creamy tomato basil sauce. They have a tomato basil soup, so I'm assuming very similar to the soup. They do a tomato basil sauce, blended whole milk mozzarella and pepperoni. So you can even get their biscuit in pizza form, which is wild. I mean, come on. BLT. We talked about the Benedicts. Man, that looks delicious. What do we got there?
That's a defusky deviled crab cake.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, with low country rice. It's just delectable.
That's
I
incredible.
hate to
And
keep going back to that same word, but it
it's a
really
it's a
is.
great word. And this
Yeah.
is, if I remember correctly, Tim, this is Dave Peck's restaurant, right?
Yes.
And I have to call myself out because I made a mistake actually, um, early on when we were talking about the whole tin and tallow takeover of Jarvis Creek General Store. I made a mistake during that episode. Dave Peck was not the owner of Jarvis Creek General Store. Where I got crossed up was for a period of time, most recently until Tin and Tallow took it over, I think Dave was handling some of the food that they were putting out at Jarvis Creek General Store. I think it was sort of Bad Biscuit inspired cuisine. So I have to take ownership on that one. That was an error by me, when we were talking about Tin and Tallow. But
And by the way,
um,
we're not in Dave Peck's back pocket either. I know we've talked about low country backyard and bad biscuit, but I listen. The dude knows comfort food. I mean, he had a partnership with them. He had a partnership with Jarvis Creek, but he didn't own Jarvis Creek.
right. That was my mistake. It's been bothering me for the last couple of weeks when I realized that. So I'm glad I got to get the opportunity to correct that. But yeah,
I'm gonna forgive
I
you.
mean, if I'm out and about, I don't spend a lot of time on the south end of the island, especially during tourist season. But if I'm out and about and I'm over by Coligny, we talked about Stu's Surfside Subs. I think you have to consider Bad Biscuit as another anchor in that shopping center. And I'm excited to see their continuing effort to innovate. Um, if they're going to be doing dinner, I'm certainly going to head back out there, one of these nights to enjoy it. I mean, the biscuits are as good as it gets. The fried chicken is excellent. And I mean, they're just constantly experimenting with these, you know, local, low country favorite type things. I didn't even mention fried green tomato, you know, um, bacon cheese fries. We talked about the poutine. You can do a bacon cheese fries with jalapenos and pimento cheese sauce. Man, I got to start uh, preparing myself for these podcasts because I'm going to have a ravenous appetite once we wrap this up today. Bad Biscuit's a spectacular spot. Can't say enough good things about it.
What is where do you want to go next?
Oh, and one
Back
other
back
note,
to Bluffton?
we talked about the health conscious. Any of the biscuit options, you can sub keto bread for the biscuit, which is pretty cool for $1.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
think that's pretty cool to cater to the masses. From there,
Absolutely.
we are going to, like you said, we're going to come back over the bridge and we're going to come to, like we started out this podcast and we talked about how a lot of what we talk about is what's top of mind, what we've been thinking about, what we've been seeing, what we've been hearing, what we've been enjoying ourselves. Most recently, when I see a question in the Facebook groups, whether it's what's happening in Bluffton, um, or some of these other pages and groups, a lot of people will ask, what's a good place for me to go for dinner in Bluffton? And in the last year and change, I have constantly come back to, time and time again, Okàn. We're talking about Okàn in the Bridge Collective, newer section of Old Town Bluffton.
End of Calhoun Street
Correct. Towards the
towards
end of
the river.
Calhoun. Right. When you're getting towards the Calhoun Street dock. I
Now listen,
mean,
I here's how I describe Okan. Okay, Okan is comfort food out of your comfort zone. Okay, for most of Bluffton,
well said.
this is gonna be out of your comfort zone. It's West African Caribbean fusion, but it is just give it a try. Chef Bernard Bennett. He was a he was a James Beard Award, which is outside of a Michelin star for a restaurant. The James Beard Award for chefs is as big as it gets in the industry. Chef Bennett was a James Beard nominee before the restaurant even opened.
Was it the truck? Was it the truck that started before the restaurant?
Yes, the food
That's
truck
what I thought.
started before the restaurant. Listen, the restaurant took as a lot of the construction around post COVID. The restaurant took forever to open, and um, it was worth the wait.
Chef Bernard, you stole the words right out of my mouth. I mean, he is incredibly talented. I fell in love with this place from the very first time. Very shortly after they opened, we went there for dinner. And like you said, you got to step out of your comfort zone. What I would recommend, you know, this is my strategy when I go to enjoy a place like this. Hop around, try a little bit of everything. Start out with a bread service, the cocoa bread, where and they'll give you like a butter or some sort of dip or something to enjoy with some sort of spread to enjoy with the bread. They break down the categories. They have grains, Carolina gold rice, jollof rice, vermicelli rice, John rice. I personally, the John noodles, I think are spectacular. Then he gets into what he calls the goods, vegetables, Jamaican cabbage, Caribbean kalaloo. I got to be honest, I don't even know what kalaloo is, but I just did a Google and it's a plant used in popular dishes in many Caribbean countries, and they'll make stew with it. Um, I mean, looks to me to be like sort of like a spinach type of broccoli rabe leaf vegetable sort of category.
They're gonna be flavors that you're not used to, and there's gonna be tastes that you're not, and dishes. Braised ox. Who's gonna have braised oxtail around here?
Not
Um,
many.
no, and it is just knocked out of the park. It's crazy, what he does. and there's gonna be more familiar dishes. Like he does a really nice. This is the Cuban steak. He does a
Okay.
really nice Cuban steak that gets a lot of raves online. I've tried it. I love it. Um, I got to give a shout out to Barry Kaufman. Barry Kaufman is really the one. They used to do a lot of um they used to do a lot with, and they still do to a certain extent, with Lot 9. They used to be one of the food trucks at Lot 9 pretty regularly, and that's where they did a lot of their food prep, the commercial kitchen right over there. Barry Kaufman was like on Okàn from like day one, and he turned me on to it, and uh, it's just he I'm always speechless in terms of just what he, what Chef Bernard, the flavor combinations, the flavor profiles. Yeah, I've been to the Caribbean. I have not experienced firsthand African food as much. Um, but these are tastes that were just completely unfamiliar to me, and you have to get almost, there's probably about a 2 minute acclimation with your taste buds, like, do I like this or not? And then all of a sudden, like, just the profiles of the dishes just win you over immediately. You just gotta let it simmer inside the mouth for a couple of minutes. You're gonna be a little taken aback by some of the profiles, but it is he's brought a whole different palette to Bluffton and the Low Country.
I couldn't agree with you more. And I think the operative word, Tim, is flavor. You're going to get flavors that you have never experienced before. And I have to I have to look a lot of this stuff up as I'm looking at it, because I'm not familiar with a lot of these terms. Like they do a couple of the appetizers, like the bear octopus. Bear is an Ethiopian spice blend. You know, it says chili peppers, coriander, garlic, ginger, Ethiopian holy basil seeds. I mean, the spices and the flavors that he uses from such an international perspective, whether they're African or Caribbean inspired, it also comes down to the way that these things are prepared. I enjoyed crispy mushrooms the last time that I was there, and what it says here is aquafaba. What that means is they actually soak the mushrooms in bean water before they fry them. I think they tempura fry them after they're soaked in bean water. What that brings to the table in terms of texture and flavor is just off the charts. It's spectacular. Um, and that's just, those are just appetizer type dishes. We're not even getting into the oxtail and the fish stews and all of this type of stuff. I
Peanut
mean,
stew, like,
yeah,
I'm just telling you, try it. I'm not even gonna try to. I mean, peanut stew. Does that sound good on the surface? No, probably not. Right?
not
If
really.
we're just being honest, but
No,
try it. It is. It's a taste sensation. It's I listen. I will admit, a couple people have tried to get me to go there in terms of go there on the menu. I I haven't tried the octopus yet. Um, People rave about it. Like are like really um just fervent about it. Um, I just can't go there.
hey, listen, I'm a big octopus guy. I didn't even know
Are
about
you?
that, and I'm definitely getting it next time I go. I love a nice grilled octopus. You specifically would get that at like an Italian restaurant or a Spanish
There's
restaurant or
your
something like
octopus.
that. Yeah, I mean I would 100% get that. I see they got muhammara, which is walnut and roasted red pepper dip. savory, sweet, smoky. I mean, it's just a carousel of unbelievable flavors. Um, and then you get into the mains: jerk goat, pork shank, smoked jerk chicken. I mean, like I said, it's an educational experience. Like we talk about dining experiences, what you're able to learn as you go through. And I'm trying to. I think his name was Roderick. The last time that we went there, and just going through and being able to be educated on what is this spice and how does this taste and what makes this so good. And he's the one that explained to me how the mushrooms were prepared. I just love the creativity. I love the willingness to go outside the box because we know that there's a lot of people that they don't really like to experiment when it comes to going out to eat. They like their go-to things, but if you have the willingness to, like you said, step outside your comfort zone, I don't think that there's a restaurant that is hitting the high notes and really innovating to the degree that Okàn has been doing. And we didn't even mention Sunday brunch, which I still have not
Yes.
had the chance to go to. I have enjoyed a couple of items off the food truck. They posted up at one of May River Group at Engel and Volkers, had a tour of a couple of lots in Old Town last summer. I had an unfortunate incident with some fire ants that tore me up a little bit, but it was worth it. I'll tell you, the bites that I got from the fire ants was worth the walking over to the truck and trying a couple of the different things that they were offering that day. Um, I love
even
this
the
place.
things even the things that he does that you may be more familiar with, like a biscuits and gravy, um he puts unique spins on it. He does with the brunch. He does a sweet potato pancake that with toasted pecans that are just yikes, just so good. An avocado toast with plantains and an egg over the top, with some cashews, um, and he does he does even some stuff a little bit more kid friendly, like a cinna biscuit. Um, Biscuits dough rolled with cinnamon sugar and topped with a citrus icing. It's criminal.
That sounds amazing.
It's
A citrus ice. What were the other ingredients in that?
uh, cinnamon sugar, a
Okay.
biscuit. It's like a biscuit, but it's dough rolled, so it
Oh,
looks like a Cinnabon almost.
that's incredible.
Yeah,
And I think it's also and it's worth noting. He does catering. He does private events, which is
he does
cool.
collaborations all the time. They have a great entertainment lineup. Yeah, I just they open at a weird time. It is, and I'm gonna Chef Bernard's in my fantasy football league, so I'm gonna text him when we're done, and I'm gonna tell him he needs to use this. He needs to use that catchphrase: "Comfort food outside your comfort zone." It
I like
is,
it.
yeah. It's special. It really is.
I've seen and heard good things about the cocktails too. Some very creative cocktails
Yep.
coming out of there. And I'm glad that I clicked on this tab in the website that says upcoming events because even just in the next week, you talk about collaborating and things like that. Friday night for Valentine's Day, Hearts and Heritage, a culinary romance. Celebrate love through the rich, soulful flavors with a five-course tasting menu, expertly curated by Chef Bernard. I mean, that's pretty cool. To have you get some jazz music in the background, a five-course tasting, basically a chef's table type of thing. They have a concert as well on Sunday night with Brooke Ashley, where he's going to do a curated dinner along with the intimate set of of music from Brooke Ashley, who's very talented. They got a Bluffton Candle Craft and Cocktail series, Wick and Whiskey, a week from Saturday, and then a Prosecco and Pilates brunch Sunday, March 30th for Pilates enthusiasts, excuse me, foodies, or just someone that just loves Prosecco. I love the effort towards these unique experiences, marrying the cuisine with, again, music, a holiday, candles, prosecco. I think we talked about a week or two ago. I wish that there was more of this in Bluffton, more of this collaboration and more of this creativity, not just as it pertains to the menu, but the experiences, and to utilize that beautiful space that they have to create an experience that, of course, is founded in his amazing food.
And by the way, we talk about food as joy. Look at his face. Look at
Yeah,
his face. I mean, he exudes joy. He is he is just he loves what he I mean, listen, all these chefs do, okay? I'm not all the chefs, but he is just this jovial dude who just happens to have this like otherworldly talent for combining flavors.
he's an incredible person. He's an unbelievable chef. And I think Okàn is going to be a staple in Old Town for a long time coming. And I just can't wait to continue to, one by one, just enjoy everything that they have. And I really, that brunch has been something that's, like I said, I don't get out a lot for breakfast, especially on the weekends. Like to spend a lot of time with the pets and things like that. But I got to make that happen because that brunch has been tickling my fancy for a while now.
You know, I think one thing I do want to like people will say to me sometimes, "Well, that is that's an expensive night out." Well, good food is an expensive night out sometimes, and it's an experience. And I will reiterate, if you're looking for a new experience with food, if you're looking to challenge yourself in terms of tastes and getting outside of that kind of rut of ordering the same old things when you go to the same old places, try Okan for sure.
And I got to be honest, when we're talking about price, we
It's
did
not
that.
insane. It really isn't.
I mean, you get into seafood dishes, $32 to $38.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but and even the meat dishes, $28 to $35. Listen, to each their own when we're talking about prices of entrees, but I know of a lot of restaurants where entrees, you know, are a lot higher than that when you're talking about seafood and pork and chicken and goat, and like, I think, honestly, I think it's very reasonable. I mean, even the appetizers, croquettes, yuca croquettes from $10 up to the Jamestown shrimp or the bear octopus for $18. Again, it's all a matter of perspective, and for someone like me, I don't think about stuff like that when I'm enjoying something as unique and interesting and exciting as the stuff that's on here. I don't think about that too much, but I think it's very reasonable. You can also order online and take out. You don't necessarily need to go and have a couple of cocktails or anything like that. And if you want to just try the food truck, try the food truck.
Sure.
But they still post up, fairly often, despite the fact that the restaurant's fully functional for a while now.
Absolutely. Yeah, they were even out during restaurant week doing the food truck. So he at this point, thankfully, he's got some lieutenants that he trusts to get out there. And I don't know if I've put up as many pictures with because I don't have the labels on a lot of these dishes. at Okàn, but
That
um,
looks like an eggplant. And then we got
yeah,
probably some jerk chicken there. I mean, the sauces are
it's kind of a
spectacular.
sampler of a
The
lot of different
sides,
dishes.
the grains, like I said, the John John noodles. I
Yep.
mean, it's just a party. It's a party of flavors, and it's an experience. It's a unique experience, and I think you really once again put it no, I couldn't have put it any better. Step outside your comfort zone to enjoy this comfort food because you won't be disappointed.
You've got one honorable mention you want to get out there?
Yeah, I got to be honest. Coming here in April of 2021, um, right around that same time, we started to hear and see right down Buckwalter here about this Lowcountry Fresh Market and Cafe. Sort of popped up, like I said, shortly after I came here in April of 21. I think by that summer, it was probably open. And I've been a loyal customer of Lowcountry Fresh ever since. When Lowcountry Real Producers was kind enough to do a feature on me for their magazine with my mortgage endeavor, um, I wanted to make it food focused because that's what I love about this area. So we scheduled two photo shoots. We did one at Poor Richard's with my friends over there, and we did another one with Lowcountry Fresh. And there were a couple of reasons for that. And first and foremost, it's the commitment to locally sourced product. Celebrating local farmers, searching for the freshest vegetables, fruits, you know, local farmers. They're all about, it literally says under their logo, cultivating community. They want to be a source of new business and opportunities for suppliers, be a place where team members can fully use their talents and grow into new careers while building a solid financial foundation for the future, and offering customers fresh, locally grown, high quality products and become your go to source for the good stuff when grocery shopping and dining. You see ribs there. They got that big green egg going on a regular basis. I think ribs fit perfectly into the comfort food category. At the start of the podcast, Tim, you mentioned Low Country Boil. They have these special ticketed dinners, these events that you can buy tickets to. The Low Country Boil and Oyster Roast was one of those that I enjoyed with my wife and my parents a couple of years ago, sitting out on the screened in porch while they while they grilled oysters, roasted the oysters and then started dumping shrimp and sausage and potatoes and corn, all the ingredients in a low country boil right out on your tray, right out on the table. I mean, we're probably looking at what was that there? I think might have been some meatloaf there.
This was bacon wrapped meatloaf.
I mean, come on. Bacon
Yeah,
wrapped meatloaf that's comfort food by definition. And then
yeah.
move on to that next photo that you showed. I mean, broccoli and sausage over orecchiette. I told you how nothing suits my fancy for comfort food more than some fresh pasta with some wholesome ingredients like sausage and broccolini or broccoli rabe. I mean, you can go there, you can enjoy breakfast or lunch in the cafe. They got a sandwich menu, they got salads, they do brunch. And then you can,
That's a
while we're
chicken
waiting for,
enchilada casserole.
oh my goodness, look at that. That's spectacular, and that's where it becomes dangerous for me because I'll go in there and whether I'm just trying to pick up a sandwich or if I'm trying to sit down in the cafe and eat maybe with a business associate or my wife or a friend or something like that. While I'm waiting for my sandwich or my meal to be prepared, I start walking around and it's a problem. I mean, the bakery section. Then you come around the corner and you have the cheeses and the meats and the breads, the fresh breads and everything. Then you continue down and you have all of the fresh seafood that they have for sale. You look to your left, you have the freezer that has, frozen prepared foods, soups, pastas, Leopold's ice cream, Nightingale ice cream sandwiches, sauces, pastas. Then you come around the corner and you have snacks, all these local, you know, kettle corn, popcorn, and chips, and hot sauces, and candies, and then that's not even, you get to the final corner and you have your produce off in the corner, but then you have that deli case where, I mean, you could see anything from crab pasta salad to, like you said, bacon wrapped meatloaf and other things, and so by the time I take a walk around while I'm waiting for my lunch to be made, or my breakfast to be made, I already have, another basket full of stuff that I'm going to take home, that I'm going to, get to enjoy over the next several days. And, they do a good job with social media announcing these ticketed dinners and events, and we're going to have this or that on the green egg today, and, classes that they offer.
I
They
think you had
really,
this with your
they get
mom, right? The
that
chicken salad bites.
yeah, the chicken salad bites. I've enjoyed the trio of salads where you get to choose maybe a chicken salad, a tuna salad, and an egg salad. Yes, my mother, that was that day for lunch. She enjoyed the chicken salad bites, and I probably went with. I mean, I'm a big sandwich guy, as we've talked about before. I think I might have gone Italian on ciabatta that day. They got a triple decker club. They got a lobster BLT for only $22. I mean, this place is just, it's one of my favorites. You're not going to do your regular grocery shopping there because, and that's where I know that some people are sensitive about price, and some people might have feedback, you know, on some of the prices, but we're talking artisanal cheeses and charcuterie stuff, farm raised meat, local wild caught seafood, locally farmed produce, and an in house scratch bakery. If the prices are higher than you would like them to be, the reason for that is because these are all coming from local farms, from local curators, and you can tell the time and the effort and the love and the soul that's put into everything that they have there. And, you might even be able to pick up a 4-pack or a 6-pack of some really tasty kombucha or some local craft beer, or juices and things like that. I mean, it's just incredible from top to bottom, whether it's the cafe or whether it's, the market. I just, I can't say enough good things about Lowcountry Fresh and what they've brought to the neighborhood and the community.
So I know you've probably got to out, get to the airport to get to the Eagles parade.
You had to stick the knife in me just one last time, right, Tim? It has been a rough week. Hey, listen, I'll say this. I got a lot of friends in South Jersey specifically and in the suburbs of Philadelphia. I'm happy for them. I would have liked to see a better game, but I think at the end of the day, if you're a football fan and you watch the game and you're a ball knower, as they say, the
They earned
Eagles
it.
were the best team. They were the
The
best
score
team.
was not indicative. I mean, they got a couple of trash touchdowns at the end against the second team. I mean, the defense was just absolutely smothering.
It reminded me of that Tampa Bay
Yep.
Chiefs Super Bowl. You could tell Mahomes could never get comfortable, um, right from that very first drive. And I mean, listen, they drafted the right guys. They got a great coaching staff. I said to one of my Eagles fans connections on Facebook yesterday, I can't wait to see the truck that they're going to back up to Rick Sirianni's house, because it sounds like he's due for an extension and he's going to get probably a pretty big contract, and
He's in the
it's well
last year of
deserved.
the contract, and it basically has said, "I'm not, let's get this done," and he, got it done on Sunday to escalate those dollars for sure. So I don't usually do this to you. You had one that you thought of after the fact. I had one for this list that have you been to Craft
Nice.
Kitchen?
Oh my goodness. I mean, listen, I want to say if I look further down the list about what we have coming down the road, I think we're gonna talk about Craft
They're on
Kitchen at
there
some point
somewhere,
eventually.
right?
Yeah, but
Okay.
Tim, listen, I'm gonna let you talk. I have been a fan of Craft Kitchen since day one. I
Yeah.
loved it last year when they expanded the menu a little bit. Um, I, I I love to sit at the bar. I love to try different beers, and I love the burger. I love the cheesesteak. I love the chicken sandwich. Everything. But
Yeah.
tell please.
No,
And I'm
I
glad that
just
you did this because they deserve it. They really deserve it.
yeah, and again, just I I was not expecting comfort food when I went there. I really wasn't. I was and from the first time we went there, I think there was some sort of meatloaf dish that day that they had on special. It's not on the regular menu, but I mean, their chicken sandwich, green olive pimento cheese, which I'm not usually a fan of, but like in this mix of ranch and pickles and on the brioche, it's outstanding. Their low country Cuban, their braised pork sandwich, um, uh, no, their braised pork dish, and even the beer like I'm not especially now after my surgery, like I'm not big on real deep fried stuff, but their beer battered fish and chips is so lightly battered and just so special that yeah, I still like as I continue pushing what I can and can't eat. I tried that and it's like thank goodness my stomach like approved it. So because it's outstanding. Um yeah, I didn't want to go too far down there because I didn't want to. This is your list. I didn't want to surprise you too much. So I'm glad you agreed when I pulled that out of the hat.
I love it, and we'll unpack that more. We do have them on the list. A
Yep.
couple of weeks away for bars and burgers was the
Oh,
category
nice. Yeah,
that
I didn't
we
even
had them
mention
in.
the yeah.
Yeah, and they were actually the very first one that came to mind under that category. So I do think it's fair, to give them a mention in the comfort food category. I love their fried pickles. I love the charcuterie board. I love the fried zucchini strings, the bacon cheese fries. Um, like I said, they kind of doubled the menu in size last year when they added a number of other burgers and chicken sandwich. I like the fact that they can be, uh, you know, interchangeable. I didn't realize this. Someone unlocked this for me one day when I was there, where you can get any of the chicken sandwiches as a burger and any of the burgers as a chicken sandwich. Um, I mean, again, not to do use too many Seinfeld references, but it brings that Caligula reference to mind. I mean, it's once they unlocked that for me, I was like, oh wow, I can go in a number of different directions with this. I know that they have off menu. They have Brussels sprouts, although it looks like scallops and Brussels incorporated that on their signature dishes. Um, a handful of
We don't even
salads, and
have. I don't think we're doing desserts, but or we're not yet. Maybe the next season.
yeah,
But in the interim, try their cheesecake bites. Like I went to lunch the other day with a friend, Darren Davely, and um, he he's just a huge fan of the cheesecake bites. So we got a little flight of the bites. It was just the ganache, the blueberries, the cherry. It was just oh my. I had already had the Oreo cheesecake bites, but like the rest of those, it's like wow. The Coles, I can't say enough about Desi and Vincent Cole, the chef Vincent. Like I'm just yeah, they're such good people. Like listen, you root for phenomenal chefs. Not all chefs are good people. They're some are just really good at what they do, so you root for them for the food. The Coles are such good people. and to see them succeeding, it's warms the heart for sure.
And when we say good people, not good people, I think we're just talking about like the personality of some of these
Yes.
chefs. You know, they're really good, but they might not be people, you know, a
Yes,
people person,
exactly.
as the term is
Exactly.
used.
They may be more
Um,
like the chefs that like the Joel McHale chef from The Bear. Um,
right.
yes, but that doesn't knock the food whatsoever. Yeah,
No.
these guys are
And I
just
agree with you.
their story is inspiring. Um, their customer service is just rooted in niceness.
It's extremely friendly, extremely inviting. I agree with you. The cheesecake bites are awesome. We got to enjoy some of those when we celebrated a family birthday last summer. The peanut butter cheesecake bite is actually gluten free, which is pretty cool for those who have dietary
Oh,
restrictions.
yeah, yeah.
One of these days, I would like to try the charcuterie board, which is an assortment of Belgium chocolate, fresh fruits, chocolate ganache, assortment of cookies. They have mini ice cream bites, cherry vanilla and dark chocolate, cookie dough and butterscotch chips is the other one, and mini key lime pie as well. I like the miniature desserts. You can also
Yeah.
order those if you want to just, if you have a party and you want to have some kind of cool dessert to throw in the mix. And like I said, the selection of beers, I mean, it was a standing joke with me and the owners where I would, what's her name that you mentioned?
Desi and Vincent, the
Yeah,
Coles.
I haven't got a chance to meet Vincent yet, but Desi, it was a standing joke for me for a while because I would go and we would have lunch. We would meet for lunch, let's say on a Saturday afternoon or something, maybe a weekday afternoon. And I would walk out of there with like a box of beer from, because I start looking through the catalog, and specifically for me with sours and wheat beers, just the selection that they would have, and they would let me, you know, if it was on tap, they would let me taste it or whatever. If it was in a can, they would let me take a closer look at the can. And I filled my beverage refrigerator between that and Two Tides. I still have quite a few beers that I've accumulated from Craft Kitchen over the years. I love that place, and like I said, I think we'll get more into more detail
Yep.
when we talk about bars and burgers. But I think that was definitely a fair mention as we round out this comfort food category.
Great job as always.
Likewise, my
I
friend.
look forward, and because everyone's definition of comfort food is different, I look forward to the feedback here in terms of what strikes a chord with people in terms of comfort food. But yeah, I think you hit a very wide swath here in terms of who nails this category around the low country. Um, One last thing I want to mention real quick. Coming up on February 22nd, I believe it is, DJ's Day of Giving around Bluffton and the Low Country. A lot of these restaurants that we talk about on here will be taking part in DJ's Day of Giving. It's a fundraiser to benefit the Live Like DJ Scholarship Fund. DJ Fields was killed in a uh, mistaken identity drive-by killing on Bluffton Parkway in 2021, and it just left a senior at Bluffton High School left a huge void in the community, and we've been trying to just do good in his name and give scholarships out to students in the area to further their education that he never got to. So yeah, check that out. I'll have the full list next week as we get closer. I'll have the full list of restaurants that are participating, but just put it on your calendar for the 22nd. I believe that's a Friday or Saturday. But put that on your calendar. A lot of restaurants, they're going to be giving, I think 10. Most of them give 10% of their sales for the day to the fund, and have some great specials, and so it'll be a phenomenal foodie day around Bluffton and Hilton Head.
I love it. It's a great cause. The 22nd is a Saturday. We'll definitely share that on Indulgent Islander pages as well. And we got Seafood Festival coming up next week as well,
Yeah,
starting, you know, I
big
think whatever
week.
it is, Sunday or Monday. through that entire week, with the
Yep.
pig pick and an oyster roast on Friday. My wife will be over there with the Outside Foundation, teaching people about oyster shell recycling, because they'll be recycling all the shells from the event. Of course, you got the main event on Saturday the 22nd, and then a really cool thing that I saw that was just announced late yesterday. They're doing a special event on Sunday at Lincoln and South. They're doing a breakfast with Chef Matt from uh, Black Sheep
Oh wow.
sabbatical over in Beaufort.
Yeah, yeah.
Looks really, really cool. I hope to attend that myself. I'm not the biggest festival goer myself, but in terms of in the grand scheme of things, on the spectrum of festivals, I think, in my opinion, for my money, the seafood festival is as good as it gets. I got to enjoy with a couple of friends last year the pig pick and an oyster roast, and I didn't participate in the oyster side of things that night, but I got to try pretty much every barbecue item that was made available for the pig picking part of it, and it was really spectacular. Had a great night over at Honey Horn. The weather was pretty solid. It seems like it's going to be fairly decent as we head into the weekend. But
Yep.
you can head over to their social media, to their Facebook or Instagram, and there's a website that has all the information on tickets, and there's still some volunteer opportunities available for those of you who are interested in that.
So yeah, just to correct myself because we always do it on a Friday. It's the 21st for DJ's Day of Giving.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Some of the places are doing uh, of giving throughout the weekend. That's why somehow I had the 22nd on my brain, but it is the 21st, Friday the 21st. So I when you mentioned the seafood festival, I didn't think we would go up against the seafood festival. So yeah, it's a day ahead of it, day ahead of the main event.
Nice.
Great job, sir. Uh, what's
Likewise.
what's next? Let me
Um,
see here.
Next week we got upscale dining.
Upscale.
Yeah. So this is probably going to be one of my favorite categories. Just by looking at it, I mean, I think that my top five picks are probably going to be well received. Um, in my humble opinion,
Yep.
each one of these is deserving in their own right. Um, our honorable mention is going to be a little bit different this time because it's a little bit different of a style of restaurant, and definitely
The
something
the,
that's
the
like, I
menu
think that,
though. Oh boy.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely, yeah.
Absolutely.
This one's going to be exciting. You're going to see for those of you who follow me on Facebook and Instagram. I don't think that there's going to be any real surprises on there.
Shockers.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, but I think it's an excellent category, and I think that there's no shortage of really good options in Hilton Head and Bluffton if you want to have an upscale night out, for fine dining, if you will. And I think each one of these places has done a really good job, going back to what I said before about a commitment to creativity, having events and things like that. So I'm really excited to talk about that. We're not going to do any spoilers yet, but upscale dining is going to be a fun category. As always, please send your suggestions, your recommendations, your comments. It's all welcome. Whether it's about what we covered today, what we've covered on previous episode, or what we're going to be covering next week with the upscale dining. This continues to be a blast for me, to get the word out there for these restaurants. Tim's showing us, as we mentioned last week, we're now available on all podcast platforms. You can see the video version on Facebook as well as YouTube. And I've still got quite a bit of work ahead of me, but the website is in progress, and may not be a few more months until we're ready to roll that out. But I think once we do, I think people are going to be very happy with it, because it's going to be a very useful resource and tool for
Content
those of you.
rich.
Yes, exactly. And that's why it's taken so much time, because
Yep.
on the back end, there's just so much information and graphics and photos. And, this all started with me as a pastime, taking photos of food with captions. So I got several years worth of content as far as just the photos go, and so it's a huge task. I'm getting some help from my mother and my brother, who are both a lot more technically inclined and tech savvy than I am, but we'll get there eventually. And in the meantime, we're going to keep coming at you, every week, if as long as we don't have any conflicts that come up. We're going to try to stay committed and devoted to making this happen, every Tuesday, Wednesday for you guys, so that we can continue our effort of promoting and spotlighting as many of these establishments as we can.
Absolutely. So upscale dining next week. Barbecue in on the on deck circle. Tex Mex coming up soon. So plenty of taste to cover, and nobody I'd rather cover it with, sir. You're slaying it as usual. Uh, another
Right
edition
back at
of
you,
the
bud.
another edition of the Indulgent Islander podcast in the books. Until next time, I think Nick. What is it you say? I can't remember.
Stay hungry, my friends.